Okay, here we go. Our technical sectioning for our perm. So I'll be going in really tight. So a super small rod, and I want a lot of root lift and texture. So I'll start off with a quite high angle, and then again, my anticipation is that once the hair is permed, I will lose a significant amount of length. Plus, I'm going in with really tight perm rods. And notice the amount of elevation at that root. So as you have to consider it, like as that perm rod rolls all the way down to that root, it will give a super tremendous bend at that root. So you have to anticipate, like if you want a lot of root lift, that final curvature is what actually will like determine the amount of lift that you get at the root. Also keep in mind, as we're perming hair, we're actually also creating an additional three-dimensional shape. Her hair is naturally straight. With that such a tight rod in there, her hair will be geometric. It will be more 3D naturally because of the perm. Now, pay attention to the amount of root lift. And here I switch up the size of my rods. So as I near the crown area, I'm going for a bigger size rod. Below there, the rod sizes will be tighter because I'll go in and cut some really tight graduation in that shape after. So it'll give my graduation much more strength. Okay, so still working with the tighter rods, I have to make sure that my elevation is consistent with the opposite side. So just if you start off with a consistent amount of elevation and you elevate each section progressively symmetrical, you should be okay. If the angles are totally different, you'll have one side that's full and one side that drops. So you have to have a really strong awareness as to the amount of the angle at the root and the root lift that you'll be achieving. So here I'm jumping back to the larger size rods because again, the tighter curl will support the softer curl through the top, but the top area still will be quite curly, but not as intense of a curl as the lower portion. As you perm the hair, you always have to take into consideration the shape that you will be cutting. We have to make sure that the texture that we curl into the hair fits the end result of the haircut that we plan to cut. So i.e., with a haircut to the back, I'm going with some pretty strong graduation. So that's why I took those perm rods in pretty tight, because that graduated cut will give me a lot of support. And also using the smaller rods where my tighter graduation is, it will complement the graduation that I'll be cutting on after the perm. Okay, and through the top area, I'm just rolling the rods in at 90 degrees. For the cut, the hair will be over directed to the side, so that'll give you enough root lift. So just make sure as you're perming the hair, the water in the hair is always consistent. Moisture and consistency is essential. And again, through the sides here, I'll be working graduation, so I'm taking the sides in with that tighter perm rod and a quite high angle at the roots, because again, this perm technique will definitely fit the technique that I'll be using to cut on the sides after. So still, notice that root lift, it increases with each progressive section, because when I cut the sides, I'll be increasing my elevation with each progressive section. So the placement of the perm rods and the shape that I'll be cutting, they totally fit. So through the top again, I'm using a larger size perm rod. Front hairline, I'll be over directing the hair forward with this perm rod because when I cut the hair again, I will be over directing that section forward. And just make sure you get these little baby hairs in, because there's nothing worse than seeing a nice, beautiful, consistent curl and a straight piece that drops out. So that's unacceptable. So again, always have a nice intention for the shape that you're perming, and understand that when we perm hair, we're also creating a three-dimensional shape. And when I cut, I'm creating a three-dimensional shape. So it's best when these two shapes, they complement each other. And it's just by making sure that the angles are similar to the angles that will be cut into the head. And I'll work the opposite side in the exact same manner. This is just like an overview of the technical perm, because if we went full on, this would be a really long video. So just a brief overview, and it's all about root lift. It's all about intention and the perm shape fitting the haircut shape. Okay, and then you have it, our poofy perm technique. Enjoy.